Oh, the Dallas Mavericks get an exciting start, but couldn't finish the job.
Exciting night in the AAC for a playoff opener for Luka Doncic, but they have some questions to be answered.
Did the Clippers figure out the Mavericks, or did the Mavericks have an answer for what the Clippers did? We'll talk about this and all of that. Today's Locked On Mavs.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks Podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com, the in-arena horror, the one more thinking. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
Okay, well, we're going to start off on a positive note real quick. If you were in the building tonight, hats off to you, especially for that first half of the first quarter. I got there super
First 6 minutes.
early.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole night for real, but
Yeah.
those first 6 minutes were special. And just getting there early. There's a lot of stuff outside the arena, the atmosphere, you could just feel it. Mavs fans back in the arena. You know, we had over 16,000 fans in the arena. It's like we were all
17.
reminiscing.
17 was the official number.
Let's go. Yeah, we were all reminiscing there as media. You know, we started going to a preseason game this season with Minnesota coming in. And I mean, we could literally count the amount of people. Like we were hollering at Dwight Powell in preseason, like waving at him because the arena was so empty, and him waving back before a game because there was nobody in the arena. And to see so many people there tonight in those first 6 minutes and Luka scoring those first eight points. I mean, I was just sitting there saying, when have I seen the arena like this? When have I seen Mavericks fans like this? And honestly, there's only one other moment for me, and that was, you know, Dirk's last game. Dirk's 30K night, Dirk's last game. The place was nuts, but it was almost a different type of nuts. And it just shows you the excitement of this like new chapter of Mavericks basketball, and Luka having the city like in the palm of his hands right now, sports wise.
Yeah, it was absolutely electric. It was wild to watch on TV, to hear the broadcast.
I heard ESPN was kind of downing it out a little bit, and
the crowd was way down because initially it was very high. Like you could hear the crowd a lot, and then eventually, as they went through the first quarter, they turned it down even more, like more and more.
Oh, boo.
But all right, we're gonna talk about the Dallas Mavericks loss in Game 3, 118-108. The Dallas Mavericks lose this Game 3, and it seems like the Clippers have found a couple things here. It seems like they've found some answers, so we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. Talk about this Mavericks run, and then what happened. How did the Mavericks drop this? And then we have to talk about Porzingis. I mean, we will talk about Luka for sure in his night, but we have to talk about Porzingis. It seems like the thing that everyone is talking about at the moment. Finished the game, 9 points, 3 of 10 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, and 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 0 blocks, -9 for the game in 34 minutes. Kristaps Porzingis scored 6 points in the first 5 minutes of the game. He scored 3 more points the rest of the 43 minutes of the game. Now, the Mavericks weren't feeding him until the fourth quarter, which we'll get into, but it's not like they were setting him up really. They weren't really running any plays for him, but this guy is a $30 million max player, and he has been like strategized to the level of just standing in the corner or standing on the wing and literally just spacing the floor. Like he's almost literally doing nothing else. He swings the ball around. He had some good passes tonight. He had a couple of rebounds that were good. He hit 1 3, right? Like there's a couple things that were good, but other than that, and there's 2 things. You're either a person that's going to say, well, the Mavericks aren't setting anything up for him. They're not doing this. You know, that's why he only had 10 shots and he, you know, couldn't get in any rhythm or anything like that. Or you look at it and say, he has been ineffective to the point that he is just now like relegated to standing over on the side and just spacing the floor. It's literally his only role on offense at this point. Which side do you lean on?
Oh, which side do I lean on? Maybe if I had to pick, I would lean towards option 2 in that. Shot attempts tonight: Luka 28, Tim 14, Dorian 10, Kristaps 10. Only 10 shot attempts for Porzingis. And you know, that stretch in the second half was just brutal. I think it's a combination of him and Rick, the sense of, you know, they just tried to force it to him on the post. And it's like, I get that we have to get the non-Luka minutes. We have to try to get KP going, but it was taking time off my life watching those possessions of just trying to get KP the ball so bad. And, you know, and after the game, he's like, man, I got to make those shots. That open 3 at the end of the game, you know, towards the end of the game, that he should have made that. But they're almost better to just keep on running the offense through Brunson or Tim and keep the rhythm going instead of trying to just change up everything, of just trying to force it to KP on the post. But on the flip side too, he was they were taking advantage of him defensively. You know, what they're doing, they're putting Kawhi on KP. We were just talking about this, to where, you know, when Luka has the ball, you know, I know a lot of us like, hey, we want to do the pick and roll with KP and Luka, but they're putting Kawhi on KP, to where if you run KP up and do a pick and roll with Luka, they're switching everything to when then you have Kawhi and Luka. And that's what Dallas is probably not, they're trying to avoid that. And that's a smart move on Ty Lue's part of saying, all right, well, we don't want you to run the pick and roll with KP. So we're just going to keep switching and we'll put Kawhi on KP. And defensively, yeah, KP just couldn't switch tonight, and he was getting torched. And I think there's a bigger question right now. And we got the tweet tonight saying, what's Carlisle's adjustments? I think there's a bigger question of saying, do the Mavericks win this series if KP's playing in the fourth? And I think we might have that. That might be the last option we might see from Rick Carlisle, to see at the end of the games in the fourth quarter, in clutch moments in a clutch game, will he have to bench KP? And I think that's a real conversation that they might have to have.
If Porzingis is literally only going to space the floor, they're not going to run screen and roll with him, which doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not a coach. I'm not smart as Rick Carlisle, but I don't understand why when the Clippers went small and Ibaka didn't play, and Zubats played 11 minutes in this game, why they didn't run any kind of pick and roll with KP. If you have a 7'3" guy and you have Luka, and they've had success with this before, it's not like that KP is an ineffective roller. He's been a decent roll guy in the past. Why can't they just run any kind of screen and roll? That's my question. And just use KP's size over Paul George or over a Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that. That to me is an area where they just haven't tried, and they didn't run a single one in this game that I saw. Maybe I missed one, but I didn't see a single, pick and roll run in this game with Luka.
I just don't think they think that's going to be effective.
Try it. Just try.
Because I know, because you've seen was something that the Clippers did tonight. Paul George gets 4 fouls. He leaves the game. Then they come back in. How do they hide Paul George? They put him on Porzingis.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no pressure put on him.
It shouldn't be that. It should be, let's get the ball. But it's like, that's the type of thing. If KP's not getting that position down low and not sealing that defender, these smaller guys, then they're like, all right, well, you're going to get the ball to KP like the high post. So that's just not, he hasn't been efficient in that. So that KP taking advantage of the mismatches, this is something we want to happen and you hope to happen here for a 7-3 guy, but it just hasn't happened this year. And that's I don't want to go down that road too far, but these are big questions that as they advance in the playoffs, especially if the Clippers come out, this is the adjustment Ty Lue's made that we've been waiting for. We've been saying on this podcast, like, Zubats just isn't going to play. Like, that's the move they have to do. Yeah. That's why the Ibaka thing didn't mean anything to me, because I think their best chance in this series is Zubats not playing, Ibaka not playing. We hyped up Terrence Mann so much, saying this is the guy that he has to play. I thought he was great tonight for the Clippers. Rondo was great tonight for the Clippers. They have to go small to have a chance in the series. Now, will the counter from Rick Carlisle be, we'll match you and we'll go even smaller. We'll put put Maxey at the 5, Dorian at the 4. Will they even entertain a lineup to where Dorian's at the 5? And then they just throw out
that's they never played this year.
But that's the type of stuff that will Rick Carlisle counter and even go smaller.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the counters. We'll talk about that in a little bit more coming up. Isaac Harris.
Yes.
The Dallas Mavericks lose this game. Let's start from the beginning now. We've talked about the big stuff. The Mavericks start this game.
For an ad break. I was like, oh.
They start this game 28-11.
Yeah.
They come out and have a 17-point lead early. It just looked like this was going to be the Clippers were going to crumble. The Mavericks were going to shoot the lights out. Luka was on fire. Luka started the first. He had an 8-0 run to start the game by himself. It just looked like it was going to be that kind of a night for the Clippers. And give credit to the Clippers. This is a team that we discussed the sweep and we discussed, what if they do this, but it was more speculation and what if this happened than, something we expected. I expected the Clippers to come out and take some of these games. Still Mavs in 6 was kind of has been our call this whole time. Yeah. If it's in 6, that means you lose 2 games, right? Like you still have to lose a couple of those. But what did you think about the start of the game and the atmosphere and all that?
Yeah, so my whole thing, we talked on Locker Room. Join us, Locker Room, once a week. Normally it's on Thursday. We had it tonight before the game. But I thought that we'd have no question about Dallas's energy and effort and everything tonight in front of the home crowd. What I did think was I thought that would kind of be at a disadvantage for them at the beginning. I thought it'd be kind of like a nerves, kind of like a college team, first game of the NCAA tournament. It'd be almost like, too hyped. And I thought the Clippers, if there was a team that was going to come out and get a big lead at the beginning, I thought it would be the Clippers tonight of trying to just set the tone early. And for Dallas to do that, I found myself saying, oh man, they're going for the uppercut knockout. And this is where I learned about the Clippers tonight. I didn't think they had that in them. I didn't think they had I didn't think they had the mental part of the game as a team in them to take that big of a punch, because that was a boxer coming out saying, we're going to hit you to the floor. And that was the Clippers hitting the ring and them actually getting back up. Because if that was the moment tonight of saying, if the Mavericks had a huge moment like that and they went up by almost 20, I didn't think the Clippers had it in them to say, we're going to come back. And not only did they come back, they came back quick. And it was non-Luka Doncic minutes in the first quarter. And for them to come back in the same quarter, I thought spoke a lot about their team.
It was Rondo. To me, I thought that the leadership, and you were telling me about some of the timeout stuff and Rondo barking at guys. And
at Kawhi. He did not care about barking at Kawhi.
Listeners were DMing me and saying, well, Rondo's calling out every single one of the Mavericks plays, which they've been talking about in the media and all that. But beginning of the game, so we mentioned it. They got out to a 28-11 lead. Luka subbed out at 5 minutes in the first quarter, and Brunson hit a layup. It was 30-11, and you're like, oh, dang, here we go. This is going to be the rest of this game. And then all of a sudden, Kawhi hits his first field goal with 4 minutes and 25 seconds left in the first quarter, and it was just kind of lights out ever since then, right? He didn't get a single shot until 4 minutes and 25 seconds into the game, and that was basically the difference, is that Kawhi started getting going, and he never stopped. 13 of 17 from the game, 36 points on 17 shots.
Yeah, it was incredible.
This is insane. This does not happen, and Maxey's doing, I guess, his best, right? He's trying on him, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Maxey can be right in his face, and he's still hitting these shots. He's just on a different level shooting the ball right now. If Luka wasn't doing everything that he's doing right now, everyone would be talking about how good Kawhi is right now, because Kawhi's just on a completely another level, just shooting the ball. And Paul George, he backed him up too. 29 points on 18 shots.
Yeah,
he was also lights out. Both of those guys, they shot 76% and 61% from the field. That's absolutely insane. So we can talk all we want about the, Porzingis' offensive struggles and about, the other guys not shooting the ball well, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian and all that. The problem is the defense still. The problem for the Mavericks has been and will be the defense. In this series, though, it hasn't mattered that much because the Mavericks have had defensive ratings that are just in the tank, some of the worst defensive ratings of games that they have won ever. I was looking before this game started, before the games on Friday. I looked up all the Western Conference teams that had won games in the playoffs so far. These are their defensive ratings in games that they won. In the Denver series, Denver won 2 games, and their defense rating was 114 and 119. In Phoenix's first game that they won, 97.8, their defensive rating, really good. The Lakers game 2, they won 113. Lakers game 3, they won at 96.9. Memphis, the first game they won against Utah, their defensive rating was 111. The Mavericks in game 1, the game that they won, 121 defensive rating. Like, that's just crazy that you win. How can you win a game when the Clippers are scoring that many points? That's 121 points per 100 possessions that they're scoring on you. In game 2, their defensive rating was 124. Like, just absolutely brutal, this defense. The Mavericks were just able to overcome it with their offense. Now, in this game tonight, so I mentioned game 1, 121, game 2, 124, game 3, 136. Ooh. Like, 136 is a defensive rating you put up in a blowout, right? You get blown out. Like, I'm actually going to look this up right now. This is all per Cleaning the Glass, by the way, which takes out garbage time, takes out heaves, all that kind of stuff. But it's just absolutely wild. That's an offensive rating that you put up in a game that you just completely blow out the other team. That the team just doesn't show up almost at all, right? Like, you don't win games that way. But the Mavericks offense is somehow finding a way to win some of these games. The Mavericks offensive rating in their 50-point win over the Clippers was 148, right? Like, wow. You're reaching those levels you're reaching that territory of, like, just completely blowing out a team in that way, right? Like, just wild. So the Mavericks defense is to blame, and there's a lot of different angles we could take with that.
Their defense is to blame, but their shooters also, I mean, they came out to shoot. I mean, they shot 58% from the field tonight. The Clippers did as a team, 42% from 3. They were the number 1 team this year. That's what they shot, 42%. 94% from the free throw line. They only missed 1 free throw as a team. It's like, yeah. I mean, y'all watched the same game I did, and you probably felt the same thing you did watching it as we did in the arena when Luka missed those free throws in the fourth quarter. It's like they missed 6 free throws as a team, 12 of 18, 66%. The Mavericks did from the free throw line. So, the Clippers they shot the lights out from not just 3, but just from the whole court tonight. What Marcus Morris, okay, he missed 2. I feel like he had every 3 in that corner.
In the
tonight.
Fourth, he did. He hit every 3.
But that's the thing. It's like, you've seen some of the stuff they did with bringing the smaller lineup. They put Marcus Morris at the small ball 5. They threw him over there in the corner, and Dallas just struggled, rotating. And it's like it felt like everybody was just getting there a second too late to Marcus Morris, and he would hit that corner 3-pointer. If they wouldn't, they would ISO Kawhi Leonard on one side. If they, try to bring the double, Rick said after game, he said they were baiting us in some situations to these traps. And if it wasn't Kawhi, then Rondo played a really good game tonight. As much as we hate it, he was a plus 22 in this game. Rondo would get into the paint. He'd hit an outside shooter, and Marcus Morris hit the shot. And
there's
Reggie Jackson hit 4 threes.
And there's a hilarious photo that I tweeted out of Rondo flopping when Luka had the ball, and he looks like he's dying. Like, it just looks like he just died in midair.
Do we want to talk about the Terrence Mann, Willie Cauley-Stein?
Yeah, this whole thing is just so. I mean, there's so many. So, I mean, at the end of the first quarter, I mean, if we're walking through the game, the Clippers kind of climbed back there. And then with minute 30, the Clippers had gone on a 14-1 run, 14-3 run, 14-4 run, I think, with Luka on the bench. And the Mavericks fouled to try and get Luka back in the game. Yeah. That to me was a desperation move that you don't want to see on a team. Like, that should have told you right there they weren't going to win this game. Right?
Yeah,
like,
Rick told Josh to foul at the top of the key.
That's a level of belief that you don't have in your team. We're like, okay, only with Luka can we win this game. I don't know if that's showing belief in your team. I don't know if that's on Rick or on the players themselves or whatever, but they needed a foul to get Luka back in the game. And then Luka gets back in the game, and they get that really dumb double technical on Patrick Beverley and Luka, where Luka barely said anything to him. They laughed at him and kind of walked away and de-escalated it, to be honest. And then he walks away. Double technical on him, which doesn't make any sense. Super soft. Honestly, soft on the technical on Patrick Beverley too. Like, Unless he said magic words. How many times do I gotta say that in this playoffs? Unless he said magic words. Right? Like, whatever. I don't know at this point.
It's the
There's
after
so
the
many
ball
technicals.
crap that Beverly, Rondo, and these guys, they try to do this crap to see how
Morris.
much they can get away. And it's like, Luka gets the foul called against him. He upset, he starts, trying to go to the ref, and Beverly goes up and starts trying to grab the ball. And it's like, and what was Reggie Jackson doing in the second half, trying to face guard Tim Hardaway, like 3 feet out of bounds over on the front row? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and how was that not, like, why did they not give anything to anyway?
It may have gotten their heads though. It could have worked, right? Like,
it could have worked. That could be the only way.
And this is where the series starts now for the Mavericks, right? Like, I think it really starts now because the Clippers have now responded. The Mavericks came out and they hit them with because if the Mavericks had won this game, the series is over.
Yeah.
So for me, the series starts now because the Clippers have made their response. The Mavericks won their 2 games, and now you have 4 more games. Mavericks have to win 2, Clippers have to win 3.
Yeah.
That's how it works out right now. Mavericks have to win 2 of the next 4 games.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Well, it's after the Mavericks won the first 2 games, the Clippers, can they beat Luka Doncic 4 out of 5 times?
Yep. And
that's the question. And for tonight, a lot of talk's been, about KP right now. And when you look at the scoring across the board outside of Luka, when Luka has 44, there can't be a 30-point difference between Luka and the second leading scorer. There just can't. You can't have it because
unless Luka scores 60 or 50.
Well, I mean, we joked tonight. So I got the honor of enjoying the night with our friend Jonathan Sharks, and we enjoyed the game together. And John looked at me, and it was like the second quarter. He said, Luka's going to have to put up 50 for them to win tonight. And I was like, I kind of like joked. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And we were laughing in the fourth quarter. He had 41 at the time, and he's like, yeah, he didn't get 50. And like but that's the thing. It's like, he shouldn't have to get 50. And we're expecting him. Like, he almost has to average. Like, I know we joked about it the other day. Like, he has to average 40 in this series, and he shouldn't have to. We need, close. Like, you have to get some people like Tim, Tim tonight, 4 of 14, 4 of 6 from 3, but it wasn't all on Tim. And I credit Sharks for this because Sharks was pointing this out very early in the game. He said, look at their game plan right now. He's like, they're letting Luka do his thing. He said, but they're making a point to take Tim Hardaway out of this game. And if you go back and watch some of the defensive things that Lou and the Clippers were doing, trying to take away some of these catch and shoot shots, trying to be in his grill the whole time, they were trying to take Tim out of this and just let Luka do his thing. And tonight it worked. I mean, Tim 14, Brunson had 14. KP didn't even hit 10 points. It's like, nope. You can't have the first 2 games of the series. Tim Hardaway outscored and outplayed Paul George. Tonight, Paul George outscored Tim and KP. It's like that just can't happen. Luka has to have a little bit more help in that.
Yep. If KP's going to take himself out, and then the Clippers are going to take Tim Hardaway out, right? Like, it's kind of on Brunson then, right? Like that's the next.
A lot is hinging on Brunson right now. Yeah,
that's the next guy to step up if that's your options, right? If the first 2 are going to be taken out. Luka, by the way, averaging 38 points in this series now.
That's pretty wild.
It didn't even seem like he went off in this game. First quarter, yeah, but
no, those first few possessions were just, I mean, it was an other world in that arena. And JJ Barea in the house tonight. Dirk Nowitzki in the house tonight. It was really cool seeing
Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott.
Where they say
Michael Irvin.
I didn't see anything on the broadcast, so or a lot of
Isaac Harris was there.
I was there. And honestly, shout out to a lot of you guys. I know a lot of Locked On Mavs listeners reached out through DMs, tweeting, saying, hey, can we meet up? Can we
ask him for tickets? Oh, wait, never mind. Sorry.
That does happen too. But guys, I would love, maybe we can figure out once Nick gets back to Dallas, hopefully soon, that we can set up a Locked On Mavs, like, I don't know, get together or something.
Meet up.
And meet up. I apologize that I couldn't get to all of you guys around the arena tonight, but I really appreciate
too popular. You're just too popular.
No. I felt bad about it, but also am there to #work.
WRKN.
And I just don't have, I couldn't make it happen, but I thought seriously. I mean,
I've been trying to get to something, but you keep doing one more thing.
Sorry.
So at the end of the first quarter, so Luka comes back in. They foul to get Luka.
First quarter.
I know. You foul to get Luka back in. Double technical, and then the flagrant one from Willie Cauley-Stein on Terrence Mann. This starts this whole thing where Willie Cauley-Stein fouled Terrence Mann. Now, did he follow through a little bit? Yeah, he hit him in the head. That's probably that's his flagrant one by the rules now.
I've never seen somebody's legs crumble like that off like a hand to their like neck head area.
Terrence Mann was doing a lot. He was doing a lot. He was doing a lot in this game. So
he got really mad too.
So that happened, and then you get to halftime. Mavericks are keeping in it, right? Kawhi has what do you have? He had 18 points on 8 of 9 shooting. Paul George had 22 points on 10 of 13 shooting. They're just shooting lights out in the first and second. At the end of the first and the second quarter, it's just absolutely wild how well they're shooting. KP has 6 points, the only 6 points that he scored in the first 5 minutes of the game, and didn't score again the rest of the first half. Luka had 26 at the half. And then you get into the third quarter, and 2 minutes and 22 seconds left. Willie Cauley-Stein, after a made Mavericks basket, pushes Terrence Mann in the face. Okay, pushes him in the face. Terrence Mann crumbles. I'll use Kevin Gray's analogy. He crumbles like a cheap tent and just like falls to the ground, like literally, like one of those little figures you get at a novelty shop where you there's a little base and you push the base down and the character just like crumbles, right? Yeah. And then you stop pushing it and then it goes back up, right? There's string in the middle of it or whatever, and it crumbles. Like he just falls down just like that after getting hit in the face, and he falls down. And then Willie Cauley-Stein just runs to the other end of the court to go play defense. And Terrence Mann, and the refs don't call anything. Nothing is called. They didn't see it. Nothing was called. Terrence Mann gets up, runs to half court, charging at Willie Cauley-Stein. Just absolutely charging it, like ready to get held back, I think, right? Like he's not going to punch him. Right? No, we're not going to do that. Nobody does that in the NBA. So he charges him. And then all of a sudden the refs like stop play for no reason at all. Just because Terrence Mann, he was running aggressively, and they stop play for nothing at all. And then they go and review it for like the longest time. These replays are ridiculous. Like just absolutely wild. They call it a technical foul on Willie Cauley-Stein for physical taunt. What does this mean? Physical taunt is like what they teach you in improv class when you're supposed to be like in a real aggressive scene. You're like the aggressor in a scene or something. Like, what is that? I've never heard that phrase before. How many years have we watched basketball?
I didn't understand. I didn't understand some things Kane Fitzgerald did tonight, but it's Kane Fitzgerald. So
Kane Fitzgerald, very low on my list of Canes that I like. Kane Pittman, Locked on Bucks, Raising Canes. And then like 1,000 other things, and then Kane Fitzgerald probably. Yeah. But that was really ridiculous. And then end of the third quarter, the Mavericks had a really stupid shot clock violation that just drives me nuts. Don't run the clock down at the beginning of a possession. It makes no sense. Maybe you take away half a possession for the Clippers, but you're wasting a possession on your own. It's like the 2-for-1 thing, right?
Don't get me started.
But yeah, you get to the end of the game. The Mavs were putting up a fight. They were going back and forth. Clippers got out to their largest lead with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and it was just kind of over there. The Mavericks didn't really have an answer, but in the fourth quarter, Luka was dealing with some shoulder thing. Now after the game, he said it started in his neck and then went down to his shoulder. He had some ice on it while he was on the bench, and then he got into the game and he was messing with it. And so it seemed like what the Mavericks tried to do is while Luka was dealing with that shoulder injury, and he was hitting shots when he had that injury anyways.
I was going to say, I think
it's his left shoulder anyway. So it's not like it's his shooting shoulder, but while he was dealing with that, they were trying to feed KP, and they tried to feed him 4 possessions in a row, it felt like, in the fourth quarter. Even sometimes when Luka was on the court during these. And it was that was the worst offense the Mavericks have run. And it made no sense to me because it's not just because they're trying to feed KP it's the worst offense. It's because that's the first time they tried to do it all game. Like KP has talked all season. It's talked to we're blue in the face. We're blue in our shirts, and we're going to be blue in our face.
Blue out.
That KP needs rhythm at the beginning of the game. So he gets 6 points early in the game on that run. And then he didn't touch the ball the whole second quarter. Yeah. He just didn't touch the ball. And then third quarter, he barely touched the ball too. And then he comes in the fourth quarter and you're like, all right, let's get him posted up and wait till he and sit here at the top of the key with the ball and wait till he gets posted up so we can pass it in. The guy can't get posted up on his own. He just can't. Not against this team. Not against Rondo, Beverly, Batum. Like, name a single player he can get posted up on. None of them.
No.
There's not a single player on this Clippers team he can get posted up on. There just isn't. There's not a guy like that. Reggie Jackson, probably. But even Reggie Jackson, we've seen break up some KP post-ups. And so then they just start trying to run this KP post-up again and again in the fourth quarter. And it makes no sense to me. I guess they were just trying something different, or it didn't make any sense at all to me. And it was taking years off my life, basically, when they were doing that. And then at the end of the game, the Mavericks defense just showed up in just the worst way. Marcus Morris hit like 4 threes in the corner, the same corner every time. KP was his guy, and somebody would drive into the paint, and KP would come over and overhelp too far, and then Luka was on the same side as him, and then he would overhelp too, and then they would both be helping in the paint, and there'd be 2 guys open for 3. It's either Morris or Batum or whoever it was, and then that guy would get a 3, and he hit all of them, and it just got out of the the Mavs way there. But that's how the game ended.
They just couldn't make some shots towards the end. Luka hit some threes to kind of just keep them within a little bit of distance, but Luka missed some free throws. Those KP post-ups didn't work. KP missed a 3 on the wing, and they just couldn't play the defense. They couldn't rotate well, and that was the fourth quarter. And credit to Ty Lue for making those changes, right? I think it might end up being a little too late if Dallas pulls off the series and stuff, that he could be looking at saying, dang, I should have done this earlier.
Do you think it's too late
for him?
Not for the Clippers in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Mavericks win in 6. So
okay, I think the series starts now. I think we're gonna learn a lot about these two teams.
Yeah,
game 4. Game 4 is massive for the Mavs. This game was huge for the Clippers. Game 4 is massive for the Mavs, because if the Clippers win game 4, then series starts completely over, right? And the Clippers have momentum.
Series. They have momentum, but Dallas says, "Hey, we've won in LA before. Let's do this and come back home." True. All that. So, but like, credit to Ty Lue on that. Pat Beverly didn't even play in the second half. He started, first 2 games, and Reggie Jackson replaced him tonight in the starting unit. They still started Zubats, and Pat Beverly played 5 minutes in this game, and I mean he made his presence known.
Did he really only play 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes and 38. 5:38.
He kept showing up in places, right? Like, he kept showing up on the sidelines and stuff.
He tries so hard.
Makes it feel like he's playing, but he really didn't.
Valuable,
man. That's wild.
But no, it's like he's making changes. Terrence Mann's playing. Batum started the second half in place of Zubats. Like, he made his chess move. It worked out. It worked out for them, being able to switch and all of that. They also shot the lights out. There's 2 stars. We're 2 stars. Like, they did what they were supposed to do, right? They combined for 65 points between your 2 all-stars in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They did everything. Their stars did what they had to do. The role players hit shots, and Ty Lue made adjustments. Now we'll see what Dallas does in response. Will it shock me if it gets into a clutch moment, fourth quarter, and KP is benched, and we see a lineup of Maxey, Dorian, Tim, Luka, and either Brunson or Josh? I think
it should happen.
I think that is the route that we'll eventually see. It's just, will that happen in game 4, or will Rick say, all right, let's kind of do the Ty Lue approach and say, let's roll out our same game plan and say, okay, one of those things isn't going to happen. They're not going to shoot 42% from 3, even though they did through the whole season. Or Paul George and Kawhi, are they going to come on for 65 again? What are they telling themselves? Will they roll out the same game plan and say, let's bank on one of those things not happening? Or will Rick make the switch now and the adjustments now, saying, all right, now we're going to make a few more changes? And that's where I'm curious on. And because I'm not really watching this game saying this is on Rick Carlisle. I don't think there was a lot of things that, in my opinion, that Rick did in this game to say, oh, Rick didn't do this, didn't do that. I think this was a collective thing of just supporting Cass and KP not doing his thing. And yeah.
If the defense doesn't know how to communicate now, it may be on the coach.
Well,
if we're having Luka and KP help off of their men and then not stay home on these 3-point shooters, maybe it's on the coach. But you could say the same thing about the Clippers in game 1. So
I was going to say, I think the personnel, it has a lot to do with that too, more than communication.
Yeah, but at some point you got to know where you're supposed to be on defense. And
true.
Damn it, if Kristaps Porzingis doesn't know where he's supposed to be on defense on almost every play.
I wasn't on Twitter at the time, but did people overanalyze the fourth quarter possession, which Luka tried to drive and then throw to KP and KP cut instead of staying there? And
I did. I thought that was the end of the game.
Their interaction off that and just everything, I was like, oh man, fans are gonna just really be about this.
The Clippers are up by 9, so that's a 3-possession game. You can get back in 3 possessions, right?
Yeah.
It's about 5 minutes left when that possession happened, and Luka drives on the right side of the lane. KP's in the right corner, and KP cuts into the lane or dives into the lane, and Luka throws it to him back in the corner and misses him. And I thought the game was over there. You could just kind of tell, right? They're not on the same page. Yeah. If those two guys offensively are not, we're not seeing any of the stuff we saw last year with those two guys running a little 2-man game and all that we're not seeing any of that because KP barely screens for Luka because they're trying to get the mismatch with Maxi's man or with Hardaway's man, right?
Yeah.
And if we're not seeing any of that, take KP out. He's not doing anything else.
Yeah.
Brunson can bring the spacing.
The Clippers found their 5. Like their 5 that they found tonight with Rondo playing well, Rondo, Morris, Paul George, Kawhi, and then Nick Batum. And it's either Batum or Reggie Jackson. I thought Reggie Jackson and Rondo played well against each other. And even in a couple of Zubac's minutes, I mean, how frustrated were you when Zubac's got 5 offensive boards in a matter of 2 minutes? Because I think the arena was ready to just come on the court. They were so frustrated.
Well, Dorian had 10 shot attempts in this game, and I think 4 of them were on the same possession. He kept trying to tip the ball back in and couldn't get it in.
Yeah.
Dorian had 10 shots. I don't know if we hold all 10 shot attempts against him. He was trying to get – he had a couple putbacks and one of them in traffic. But any other thoughts from this game being there? I mean, the Mavericks – this is there's still – okay, here's the thing. Okay, this is us. Positive reframing a little bit.
Yeah.
Paul George and Kawhi Leonard shot 70% from the field, right? Scored 65 points, and it was it was almost a clutch game for the Mavericks. 7-point game with 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're right there. And a couple of things didn't happen, right? Like, Dorian missed all 3 of his threes. That probably won't happen again. Porzingis was 1 of 4 from 3. That's probably not going to happen again. Hardaway was 4 of 6 from 3, but the Mavericks shot 50% from 3. And shot 44% from the field. What does that tell you about what they shot from 2? Right? Like, Mavericks couldn't hit any jumpers inside of the 3-point line. So that's an anomaly. That probably won't happen again. And so there are things to take away from this game. The Mavericks could have won this game. And if they did, it would have been a steal. They would have stolen this game. It
would have been a steal for sure if both those stars put up 65 points and a non-Luka Maverick didn't have over 14 points like that. I mean, that's massive. And that's why I'm not walking out of this game pissed off. I'm not super mad. I wanted them to win this game. And if they did, I thought it would be a sweep. I thought when they made that punch in the first quarter, I was like, I did fall victim to this is over. Like, this is all over.
Yeah, you had to.
Because I just didn't think the Clippers had it in them. And that's
we haven't seen the Clippers respond that way.
Yeah, I learned about the Clippers tonight. And I gained. They had some respect gained from me tonight in that. Do I think they win the series? No, I think Mavericks win the series in 6. But man, this next game is going to be huge, and I think this is where we've talked about before. This is where Rick Carlisle comes into play.
Yep.
Like, we hear all the time about how he's a wizard of in-game adjustments and all this. I want to see how Rick coaches different in Game 4 and what decisions he makes with lineups and stuff, and we'll see. And the KP question is the biggest thing of all. How much does he play? Does he play in the 4th? Do they try to highlight him, offensively? We'll see.
With Rick and KP, it's a little bit of a Roy Kent moment. And you don't understand this because you won't watch Ted Lasso.
Oh, great analogy.
Which angers me to no end. Maybe more so than this Mavericks loss. You not watching Ted Lasso angers me. But Roy Kent is at the end of his career, and he's this guy that's been great for a long time, but he's not playing well. And so Ted Lasso has to take him out. But Ted Lasso this whole season has been trying to trying to get Roy Kent to be on his side. Once Roy Kent's on his side, he gets the rest of the team. And it seems like that way with the Mavericks. Once KP is on Rick's side and plays the role that he's supposed to play, which he played in game 2, he played that role, scored 20 points, and the Mavericks won.
Yeah.
If he plays his role that he's supposed to play and does what the coach wants him to, does what Ted Lasso wants him to do, he'll be in. And now Rick has to make a decision. All right, if KP's not going to do that, if he's not able to play the role I want him to, if he's not able to do the things that we need him to do, like Roy Kent, then I have to take him out. And to take him out, it goes against everything he's been saying all season about how KP's a star and he's the second most important player and he's the, second best offensive player and all that stuff. He's been like, what's the soliloquy word? Like he's been bounding soliloquies all over Kristaps Porzingis all season, which some of it is hyping him up in the media, which Rick does all the time with players. Now he has to bench him, essentially, right? I mean, unless KP comes back, and how many times have we said, unless KP brings it, then they have to do this, right? I mean, how many more times can we say that until it just becomes something that won't happen? So Rick has to make that decision. Now, maybe he force feeds KP more. Maybe he tries to figure out how to get him into the game. The other thing is KP scored 38 points last year in the series. So there's something that worked then that just doesn't seem to be working now. Maybe it's KP's mentality towards the team. Maybe it's the this whole season of build up to him being confused about his role. There's something there that's just not working, because he was a monster in last year's series, and he's just as a non-factor in this one.
And maybe that's what they get in game 4. Maybe game 4 is the KP game.
We were hoping this one was. I mean, we
were hoping, but it's like maybe that's it. Maybe a bubble KP performance comes out in game 4 and gives them a 3-1, lead in the series, and it's we'll see. We don't know, but I just know that game 4 is gonna be a lot of fun, at least at the beginning. And Nick's looking for a soundboard.
You know what he should do, though?
Oh, no. Nope. Don't go out, KP.
Game 1, 14 points.
No.
Didn't shoot the ball well.
Don't.
Game 2 goes to the club, 20 points on good shooting. Game 3 doesn't go to the club, 9 points.
Stay home.
I'm just saying.
Stay home, KP.
I'm just saying. He's got 50K to burn. So does Cuban. Also, Ballmer got more screen time in this game than he did in any of the first 2 games combined.
Oh, he was there tonight?
He got screen time during play. It was driving everyone on Twitter nuts. He was there, yeah.
Interesting.
He can be everywhere.
Yeah, he can.
That's a guy that goes and is like, he doesn't even look at when the plane tickets are. He's just he doesn't need to. He can just go. There you go. All right, we've gone way over, but we'll be back Sunday night. We'll be breaking down Game 4, huge game, I think. This is an absolutely massive game. The Mavericks win it. Massive.
Yes.
Massive.
Either way, they're going back to LA for at least a game. So
they are going back to LA now. That is guaranteed. So hopefully the Mavs will play as well in LA that they did
KP
in LA the first time. So there you go. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.